posted 4 days ago from Just Pearly Things my thoughts on religion, why I believe in God. I was not aware that she was a Christian before, so this is news to me. But if she was a Christian for a while, it would also make sense. I'm just kind of surprised she didn't become a Muslim, because then she could be like, hey, women should be wearing burqas or something.
So today I wanted to talk about my faith. And sometimes I hate talking about my faith because whenever I talk
And right off the bat, I can say I think you put a little too much faith in your hairstylist.
about it, the Bible thumpers come in and just tell me I'm not a real Catholic or I'm not a real Christian, I don't do enough, and if you guys need a religious scholar, please go somewhere else. Please, it's not me.
Jeez, I'm glad that she let us know that, in case anybody was confused. This person here, no, not a religious scholar.
Not a nun or a saint to look up to, not me. Go somewhere else. But I wanted to give my thoughts on why I think that Christian, maybe Catholic or Christian, I haven't decided yet, is the one true religion.
I have narrowed it down now to these final two contestants.
So this doesn't really come from a super in-depth theological point of view.
No, you don't say.
So please, if you want to say that this is wrong, that's fine. This is just my point of view.
This is wrong.
So when I was 22 or 21, I started looking at the world and I wanted to figure out what religion I was. And I narrowed it down to Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Catholic. Now, Jewish, there's a couple reasons I discredited that religion. Again, this is from the point of view of someone that is not a religious scholar.
Yeah, exactly. 21 years old. I was 21 when I first started discovering the world. That's when I first learned about this thing called God.
Number one, I thought that it was unlikely that Jesus would have existed and been as big and influential of a figure as he was, to the point that we're talking about him 1,000 years later, if he was just a crazy man pretending to be God. And there are scriptures of him referring to himself as God, the Son of God. To me, that didn't make sense. So I ruled that out, although there was a slight desire to look at the Jewish religion because I thought I didn't have to believe in the miracles, and I'm naturally a skeptic, but...
She's saying she's naturally skeptic. She's a natural skeptic, but she's fallen for pretty much every lie from the manly version of astrology.
Then the next religion I was looking at was the Muslims. And
I have a lot of respect for the Muslim religion. I think they have, I live in a very Muslim area. I think they have a lot of things right. The Muslim religion?
They believe in more of like a patriarchal structure. They don't put up with the BS that Christians seem to put up with.
I literally made a joke about this at the beginning. I said, I'm surprised she's not a Muslim because then she could tell women to put on burqas or something. And now she's over here saying the Muslims actually got a bunch of stuff right, like upholding the patriarchy, unlike the weak little Christians that actually give a fuck about these stupid things called, like, oh, I don't know, constitutional rights. And
I don't know, so please do not come for me. It seems like there's a lack of freedom in that religion. And while I believe in freedom with responsibility, but I think, my dad always told me that you should never control people. Because if you do, they will resent you for it.
Also, like, Christianity also has a bunch of restrictions on freedom. Most major religions, Islam, Christianity, these all have huge aspects of control.
And my dad was a very hands-off parent. He would show us right from wrong. You get to pick. Now, I can't say for sure. Maybe I'm uneducated. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they have that with the burqas and all that. Like it's
Yeah, well, what happened to all the not controlling people thing? Because you also advocate that women shouldn't vote. You also think that women shouldn't work or be able to get divorced. You seem to think that when a woman gets married, essentially, she's signing away all of her freedom, that she's signing away the right to control her to somebody else.
they seem to agree with me on the women shouldn't vote thing. They're more based than a lot of Christians. But, you know, and the other thing was, if I was God, I would make a world where the countries that followed me would be prosperous and amazing. And in my heart of heart and my soul of souls, I've lived around the world. I still believe that the United States is the greatest country on earth.
But what about the Nordic countries that have even more prosperity, that have higher rates of happiness, of economic mobility, better rates of health and overall well-being? Areas that are far more secular. If you're actually going to take this approach, then I'm pretty sure we can find some poor areas where everything's shit that is predominantly Christian or predominantly religious.
It seems like, and I can say this firsthand living in Europe, the countries that are Christian nations, at least when they started, everyone wants to come to. So even without, and I know, and this is the problem with scholars, scholars get so in the weeds and so in depth with all the religious texts, I just get confused. And I like to see what makes sense in the world. And I also believe the problem with Christians today and why Christianity is dead, and this is why the trad feminists drive me freaking nuts, because there's a natural order in the world. And I don't care if people think I'm crazy talking about this. Women can never do what men can do.
Yeah, so this is why people call you crazy, though, right? When you say there's a natural order in the world, first of all, source, please? Where? What is the natural order? Once you're able to establish that there is, in fact, a natural order, the next question I'm going to have is, what is the natural order? And how do you go about determining what is the correct natural order and what isn't, now that we know what that even is to begin with? Then, once you answer that question, you then will need to explain how women working somehow goes against the natural order. Even though if we really want to appeal to nature, we can look back. You know how people always talk about how the men were hunters and women were gatherers? You know, gathering was not just like going out to the flowers and planting a little garden and keeping an eye on the kids. No, it was hard work. You were out there in the burning sun. You were working all day long. You were doing hard labor usually, whether it was picking plants down from trees or planting, etc. All of these things were work. So if you want to talk about a natural thing, well, it seems that women, even in their natural state, again, I don't really know what that is, but if we want to appeal to her argument, even in their natural state, quote unquote, women were working. So where's the evidence that that's against the natural order?